From worldtruth.tv, Monsanto hires infamous mercenary firm Blackwater to track activists around the world. Blackwater, or is it Z still? XE? They had to change their name, but I guess Blackwater is the name that sticks, right? Because that's the one that they first came to prominence with. But this is the most dangerous kind of organization, a private mercenary army that is funded by government. It's the worst of both worlds. Remember the private mercenary army Blackwater that caused such a stir in Iraq during an unprovoked attack in 2007? That was the massacre of a couple dozen Iraqi civilians that actually made things much more dangerous for the troops in Iraq, who many of us were genuinely trying to do the right thing in terms of rebuilding and helping in what was obviously a futile effort. Apparently, Monsanto and the controversial security firm are in bed together, described by blogger Randy Ananda as a Deathtech firm weds a Hitsquad. I wish I could have predicted this, because this is one of those things you see and you go, damn, of course, it was bound to happen. But how? Why? At this point, you might be wondering what in the world the GMC giant needs with the services of a shadow army. It appears as though the corporation found it necessary to contract with Blackwater in order to collect intelligence on anti-Monsanto activists as well as infiltrate their ranks. Wow. Notorious for the Iraqi Nasur Square massacre, Blackwater, quote, created a web of more than 30 shell companies or subsidiaries in part to obtain millions of dollars in American government contracts after the security company came under intense criticism for reckless conduct in Iraq. One of these subsidiaries became Total Intelligence, the company contracted by Monsanto between 2008 and 2010 to collect intelligence on activists rallying against GMO crops and other Monsanto activities. Jeremy Scahill writes in The Nation, quote, entities closely linked to the private security firm Blackwater have provided intelligence, training, and security services to U.S. and foreign governments, as well as several multinational corporations, including Monsanto, Chevron, the Walt Disney Company, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and banking giants Deutsche Bank and Barclays, according to documents obtained by The Nation. Blackwater's work for corporations and government agencies was contracted using two companies owned by Blackwater's owner and founder Eric Prince, Total Intelligence Solutions and the Terrorism Research Center. Prince is listed as the chairman of both companies in internal company documents, which show how the web of companies functions as a highly coordinated operation. And Jeremy Scahill certainly has the credibility to analyze Eric Prince and what's going on with Blackwater. He actually wrote the first tell-all book about Blackwater, and highly recommended if you get a chance. A spokesperson representing Monsanto admits the company hired Total Intelligence for information, quote, about the activities of groups or individuals that could pose a risk to company personnel or operations around the world, which were developed by monitoring local media reports and other publicly available information. The subject matter ranged from information regarding terrorist incidents in Asia or kidnappings in Central America to scanning the content of activist blogs and websites. Now, they're certainly within their rights to do this, to collect, at least the publicly available information, but it certainly is disturbing that this is happening this way, and you have to think, why is this even an issue? Why would a company whose job is supposedly to make money by serving its customers, why when they get complaints from customers like stop making this crap, why instead of going, well, geez, maybe we should listen to the needs of our customers and provide something that people actually want to consume? Well, part of it is because the main base of Monsanto's customers are also customers of the government. That's right, taxpayers who say, oh, well, the government says it's okay to eat GMOs, it's okay to eat all this corn syrup crap, we're just going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep paying our taxes like good little wage slaves and get fat and miserable. So when they do that, they create a system that allows a company like Blackwater to step in and help out the efforts of Monsanto, who does everything in its power to use government to squash those people who are pointing out in the marketplace for ideas, maybe consuming these products isn't good for you. Maybe it's not in your best interest. Maybe there are health consequences. Maybe when a company is suing people for having their fields polluted with their genetic material and ruining the lives of independent farmers, maybe you should be paying attention to this. But the sad reality is the bulk of Monsanto's customers aren't paying attention. However, what the spokesperson fails to address is that according to documents secured by Scahill, Monsanto was willing to pay a sizable sum, up to $500,000, for Blackwater agents to infiltrate anti-Monsanto organizations. Now you're talking about crossing a different line, committing fraud. And where the law comes down on this, I don't know, but if anybody can afford to buy off government and get away with something like this, it would certainly be Eric Prince. But the right answer here is not to say, well, let's sue, let's, whatever, but let's expose the infiltrators. And in that case, there is a greater opportunity for exposure here to expose the company Monsanto for the evil entity that it truly is. That they are going to the point of committing fraud against people acting peacefully to change the conversation in the information market for ideas around their products. As the plot continues to thicken regarding Monsanto's tactics of domination, Ananda aptly notes, quote, Monsanto, by hiring a mercenary army and former CIA field agents, is deadly serious about protecting its deadly products. Yet this contract further discredits the company. The public can now paint an even bleaker picture of the firm that brought us, and this really should have been enough, Agent Orange, PCBs, RBST, DDT, aspartame, and now hitmen infiltrating peaceful food freedom groups.
It's like standing over me, raking my brain with the truth of the universe.
Welcome to Adam versus the Changa.
Like an orgasm, I guess, in that sense. Except it wasn't sexual at all.